All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our May webinar talking about the ERA. Actually, basically it's titled, as you see on the screen, Equal Rights Amendment. The time is now. And this will be moderated by Carol Comito, who is our virtual president. So, Carol, if you will, do the honors.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. And we're really glad you're here. We're going to have an exciting discussion, and we are really fortunate to have our Senator Pat Spearman on the call with us. I want to do a quick introduction of Pat. I've known Pat now for probably about a year. We had the fortune of having her come to Arizona to help us promote ratifying the ERA. So, that being said, first I want to tell you a little bit about Pat. First of all, Pat has many, many hats that she's worn over the years and still wears. And not in any particular order, but Pat is a veteran. Pat is an LGBTQ member. Pat holds a PhD. She's a senator in Nevada, and she's a minister. And now she is running for U.S. Congress, and we are all so proud of her. And that being said, I just want to say, and Liz had just said it, we need to support Pat. We need to support women running for Congress. And Pat would do a fantastic job. So please go on her website, Pat Spearman for Congress, and help her out. She always needs donations. All candidates do, as we know. Pat really needs the support financially, and spread the word. If you know people in Nevada and even around the country, let people know that Pat's running. So with that, Pat is driving, and I want to give her as much time as possible because she's on her way to another meeting. So Pat, please go ahead.
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much, Carol, and everyone else for being on the webinar. I am really excited every time someone talks about what can we do to get this ratified, the ERA ratified. Let me just start off by saying this. I think that this is a very dynamic time for women and women's equality and women's rights. It's dynamic because we've entered into this sphere, if you will, where it's not that women have found a voice, it's that we've had a voice and we've decided to use it. I was a member, we had a candidate debate forum on Tuesday, and they asked if we, what superpower would we want to use if we were elected to get things done in Congress. And my response was, I already have a superpower. I'm a woman. And you have to have superpowers because women have never had anything easy. And I say to people all the time, as an African American, as a woman, as a member of the LGBTQ community, hard, I know, easy, I would have to learn. So this is a real dynamic time for us. We have an opportunity now, not just to support those brave women who have come forward and talked and exposed men who are behaving badly and who have been able to get away with that for a long time. And I certainly do believe that part of those who resist change, I certainly believe that part of their methodology at this point is to just wait us out and anticipate that we will soon be quiet. We'll stop talking. We won't want the ERA anymore because it'll be, quote, too hard to pass and all of those things that they said to us in Nevada. But I, for one, am determined to resist that and to say, nope, it's not going to happen this time. We're here. We have a platform, and we're going to speak. Here's why the ERA is so important to pass. The seat that I'm running to fill is really an open seat, and I'm running to fill a seat that the current member of Congress was accused last December of inappropriate behavior and sexual harassment with some of his staffers. So he decided not to run again. We've seen that all too often. And when I say this, I'm not passing judgment on him, but I'm saying we have seen that all too often where men do things, and they are guilty of it, and and others, you know, who don't, quote, want to rock the boat or don't believe that we have a right to say no, and we don't have a right to be paid equally with our male counterparts, and that we don't have a right to be fashionable, and if someone sexually assaults us, then whatever we're wearing has nothing whatsoever to do with that. It's all about them trying to exert a power that they don't have, and to exert that imaginary power over us. So ratifying the ERA and making sure that every qualified woman who's running for office at any level, I'm not just saying because she's a woman, but every qualified woman that's running, we have got to get behind them, must get behind them. I was looking at the returns in Kentucky on Tuesday, and I don't know how many of you all were following Amy McGrath, the retired Marine fighter pilot, who announced that she was going to run to challenge Mitch McConnell, and she was already in the race. And guess what? The boys threw another boy in there and supported him. So she was supported by you could call the establishment, and basically had a tough time raising money. I see a nexus between the difficulty in what's happening with the ERA and what's happening to women across the country who are running for office, who are extremely qualified, but then hit that brick wall because it's threatening to people who want to keep the status quo. We have got to make sure that in state legislatures where they are resistant to this type of change, this is the time we must vote them out. Just vote them out. If they can't understand that equality, our equality, has got to be codified in the U.S. Constitution, they do not deserve to represent us. Just don't. When we show them that we mean business, and it's not just about 500 to 600 people showing up to march in different cities in the country, although that's good. When they understand that it's not just a hashtag of Me Too, when they understand it's not just a hashtag of Time's Up, when they understand that we are tired of waiting, we're tired of being told, stand down and it'll come later, we're tired of that. When they understand that we mean business about this, and we will not back down. You will ratify the ERA, and if you can't do it in our state legislature, we'll put somebody in there who will. Because this time, we will not go back.com. We will not go back.com. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So what I would say to you is this, in many states around the country, and I know that it kind of fell short in Arizona. I met someone last night, I think her name is Brianna, who's running for the House in Arizona. Met her last night, and she seems like an extremely bright person, and she sounds like a fighter. I talked to her about the ERA, and she's definitely on board with that. Those are the kind of people that we've got to make sure we remind those who are sitting in those offices right now, who act like they can't understand this. We need to remind them that we vote. Not only are we the majority of the population, but we are the majority of the voters. We vote. And our vote will be our voice. And you will either join us and help us get this ratified, or we will vote you out. And unfortunately, what I've seen, and this, I saw this when I was in Illinois 2 weeks ago, sometimes it's not just men. Sometimes it's women who are resistant. And that's disappointing to me. But I believe that it was Zora Neale Hurston who said it like this: all of my skinfolk aren't my kinfolk. So we have to recognize that, just like it was in the 70s, there are some women who themselves are afraid of change, and this goes for them too. If you can't support us, and we know this needs to happen, we will use our voice and vote you out. And this is one of those non-negotiables, ladies. This is something that must happen. If we don't seize the momentum of this time, and I was watching just before I left, watching that Harvey Weinstein, I think Weinstein is getting ready to turn himself in. So that's happening today. On yesterday, you had a young lady who was a member of the Olympic swim team who talked about a doctor who was acting inappropriately with her and several other athletes, and the university just ignored it. They just turned their head, and they knew that this was going on for some time. And I believe someone said that it had gone on for like 30 years. I was looking yesterday at the young lady who came out and is filing charges against R. Kelly when she was a teenager, and how he tried to groom her as one of his concubines, if you will, and she's just a teenager. I'm looking at, even in Nevada, I don't know how many of you all saw this happened, but it was in direct juxtaposition to what we did in March. What happened in April, several women went to someone and began to complain about one of my colleagues, Mark Menendo. And they were not going to say anything until someone said, tell Senator Spearman, because she's done all these bills for women, so she will probably help us get something done. And I did. I went to our Senate Majority Leader, and we told him what was going on, and he immediately called for an independent investigation. And the investigation found the complaints and the allegations credible, not just credible for the 2017 session, but credible like 20 plus years back. And some of the women had talked to and told leaders, people in leadership, what happened, and basically nothing was done about it. When Mark was in the assembly, the then speaker basically censored him and took him out of leadership. But when he moved to the Senate, he was placed back in leadership again. And this was after a re-election campaign or election campaign where a number of women came forward and talked about how they were harassed and inappropriate behavior was displayed by him. But he was reelected. He was reelected in 2010, and in 2011, the Senate Majority Leader put him back in leadership. And so some of the women who came forward were like, that's why it doesn't do any good to say anything, because nobody believes us and nothing ever happens. The person who was in leadership in 2011 is one of the people who's running against me in this primary. And I'm saying all that because I think that it's important for us to understand that if people aren't taking us serious about the ERA, they're not going to take us serious about the other things that we're fighting for either. They won't take us serious about making sure that we have pay equity. They won't take us serious about making sure that we have a family leave policy that supports our efforts to both be a parent and to be a professional. But all of these things are tied together. So here's what I say. Everyone who is fighting for the ERA, if you get tired, just like they do in athletics, go sit on the bench for a while, somebody else get in, and keep going, but we can't quit. We are too close. We are too close. Trying to see what else we can do with the folks in Illinois. I think they may be still one vote short. It would be a good idea if any of you all know Republicans that have some type of national credibility that you could call and say, you need to call, if you support the ERA, you need to call your counterpart in Illinois House and tell them, vote for this. It's an all hands on deck. We can't come this far. It's like 1.5 states away from ratification, from full ratification. Because it just has to get out of the House, the Illinois House. They have to vote it out. Then we'll have 37 states. Then there will only be one state left. And it's my belief that once we get down to one state, I think that the process will go a lot faster, because I think the rush will then be to see who can be number 38 and go down in history as this is the state that got us over the finish line for the ERA.
Carol, can you mention, I think I'm aware of a few states that are getting close. Are you aware of who they are, and can you mention that?
I know Virginia, I know they worked really hard in Virginia, and had it not been for that coin toss, they probably would have been number 37. I think that North Carolina, I've been talking to some folks there, I think North Carolina is trying to see what they can do in order to get across the finish line.
I heard Florida.
I've heard Florida too, but I haven't been real encouraged about what I've heard that's going on in Florida.
Maybe Georgia.
Now, they can fool us.
Stacey Adams.
Yeah, they can fool us. Yeah, Georgia. I went down and I spoke to their legislature in Georgia back in November. Yeah, spoke to women in the legislature and several other women in the community about support for it. I think with Stacey's win in the primary being historic, not only from an African American standpoint, but from a woman's standpoint, I think that's huge. Because that's one of those southern states that many use religious arguments to justify their opposition. But I think with Stacey's win, and I loved what she had to say about Esther for such a time as this. So Georgia may be one of those places that we might be able to look to. Here's the other thing that's happening is in North Carolina, William Barber is putting together across the country a Poor People's March.
Okay.
And that might be something to look into to try to see if we can build a coalition with him. Because if you can't have a Poor People's March and Poor People's Revolution without looking at the fact that many who are in economic despair are women who also are heads of household. And that whole pay and equity piece is 98% of the problem. That plus child care that's not affordable.
Right. Yeah, I agree. How much time do you have left? Do you have time for a couple questions?
I'll take time for a couple questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to ask one, Senator Spearman. This is Liz Benham. I'm the national president for our Federation of Business and Professional Women, and I, as a businesswoman and somebody who really knows about money, I keep coming back to what we could do in a financial way that would have more of an impact than just the advocacy and the talk that we have going on, of which, of course, we always know that they throw it out. It's just talk. But my thought on this was that if we start a campaign of throw them out, the people who don't support ERA, and if we start collecting money for the candidates who support ERA, we could get some visibility on that, and it might make a little impact as to, oh my gosh, they're collecting money. And we could probably do a campaign, like a GoFundMe for this campaign, for people, women all over, to put in a few dollars here and there and start a campaign of which we could send money to the candidates who support ERA.
So I don't know what all the financial election laws are, but I think in order to collect money and send it, I think you'd have to form a PAC. You might want to check with someone about the legal implications of that. But here's what you can do. Okay. You can form a movement of, throw them out or ERA or whatever you want to call it. And I hope you will hear what I'm getting ready to say, not as self-promotion. But I have a pretty high profile because of what we were able to get done in Nevada with the ERA.
Right.
Me winning this primary, it's 5 other people in this primary. Me winning this primary, with an undisputed lead, winning the primary with 60% of the vote would send shockwaves through the political world. Because everyone who would talk about this win would be talking about it within the context of Nevada was the first one to ratify the ERA after almost 40 years, and the person who led that charge was just nominated as the Democratic nominee to replace an outgoing member of Congress who has been accused of sexual harassment. Imagine that. You see what I'm saying? And that is a way to say to people who don't take us seriously, you need to, because November will be coming, and if women and men who believe in the ERA, if they were able to pull this off in Nevada with a candidate who does not have the support of, quote, the establishment, then the rest of y'all, you need to check up from the neck up, because they're coming after you too. You understand what I'm saying? There are several implications for why Stacey had to win, why Amy had to win, why Lucy had to win, Lucy McBath in Georgia, the mother of the young man who was murdered because his killer said his music was too loud. A gun sense advocate. So, I mean, the implications are huge for all of us who are running at this point in time, for us to be able to stand up together collectively and say, no, and these are the women that we're electing, and you need to look at the fact that these are also women who support the ERA. Because if we did it in Georgia, we did it in Kentucky, we did it in Nevada, we're coming for you next.
Right.
We're coming for you next. That is a powerful statement, powerful statement. And like I said, for me, and I hadn't even thought about it until just now, but for me to win and to have an undisputed win, every time the national news or any news talked about it, it would be talked about in light of the fact that this is the person who led the charge to ratify the ERA. That's not a subliminal message. That's a message in your face. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yes.
I think if I can just chime in, especially being, on the national board for the Federation of Democratic Women, I mean, that's what it's all about. Liz, I get what you're saying. I think it's a great idea, but if we can just promote, through our national federation that we need to support women and men who are supporting us, meaning the ERA, I think what Pat is saying, that's probably a good way to go without getting into the technicalities of a PAC. And since we are, which I hate the term nonpartisan, but if we can just put that message out there that, you need to support the people that are supporting us, meaning women.
Yeah.
Well, we could be sending out some press release that we are going to be putting money behind the candidates who support the ERA.
Right.
So we may not have to start the campaign ourselves, but we'll certainly send the money to those candidates who support it.
Yeah. And I think that more than anything will send a message. And I'll use Amy McGrath. Now she's a combat fighter pilot in the Marines. She flew several combat missions in Iraq. Okay, a passion for equality. I think she's a mother. She's a wife and mother of like 3. The last 2 weeks of the campaign, what the quote establishment did was, after she announced, instead of getting behind her, they drafted the former mayor of Lexington to run against her. Are you with me?
Yep.
Here's someone who has broken down barriers and was very clear in her announcement that she wrote a letter to Mitch McConnell when she was a kid, and he basically said, well, you can't do that because you're a girl. And so her whole life story was the antithesis of the patriarchal and misogynistic tactics that we are still experiencing. Okay? I have no idea why anyone would draft another candidate to run against her. Okay? And like me, she was having a difficult time because once the boys decide who they want, they usually line up they usually line up all the other guys, and because they hold a lot of money and power, they can say, this is who we want. And as a matter of fact, in my race, it was said. That was verified by 3 different people in 3 different states. And so she had an uphill journey. Seth Moulton got behind her. Seth Moulton is a congressman from Massachusetts, and put the power of his PAC behind her and helped her win that. She won it 49 point something. It was almost 50% to 41. Nobody thought she was going to win because at the very last minute, what the fellows did was they put out an ad and said she just moved to Kentucky 2 years ago. Shouldn't she have lived here? What they didn't say is that she had just moved to Kentucky because she just retired, and she went back home to Kentucky in her retirement. This woman has been away from Kentucky fighting for this country all over the world, and that low blow, I think that backfired on them. I mean, go back and check it out. Go back and check it out. They sent out mailers. Trying to suggest that she was carpetbagging. She was in the military. And so her win was like, whoa, okay. Lucy McBath, she won her primary. She won in the runoff. But she too was someone who has not been supported by, quote, the boys. Okay? And I know that there are some men that are with us in Chicago. Lou Lang is the one that's carrying the legislation. And so when you hear me say men, hear me say those who are part of the patriarchal structure that do not want change.
Right.
Okay? That's who I'm talking about. And so Lucy's win, Amy's win last week, and we have early voting starts here in Nevada on Saturday. Our primary day is on the 12th. So on the night of June the 12th, when the results come back in, Senator Spearman, 65%, and the rest of it, that's going to send shockwaves because now we have a minimum of 3 races where the women who are supporting the ERA had an uphill climb. And we should then take that narrative. That's when we take the narrative and send out pressers and say, and this is bad English, but we ain't playing, y'all.
That's right. You're right, Pat. You know, it's a real problem with the DCCC, and I'm sure you're aware of this, that not that long ago, the chairman, Ben Lujan in New Mexico, made a statement that they were going to support Democratic candidates that were anti-abortion. And that sent crazy waves all over the country. And we're doing a resolution about it in a couple of weeks. It's the whole idea of men still trying to control women. That's the problem.
Yeah. And maybe that's why they're not supporting me, because I've written op-eds about it. And as an ordained minister, when I go toe to toe with, the religious right, they can't say anything. I'm seminary trained, so every argument that they have that is just a figment of their imagination, I refute with Scripture, and I can refute with Scripture that I know the transliteration from the Old Testament Hebrew and the New Testament Greek. Right. So I've been a supporter of NARAL. I've been a supporter of Planned Parenthood. I mean, I've supported everything about equality for women, for anybody who's in a marginalized community. But I think if the Democratic Party is starting to lose their way, and they think that we're going to stand for anyone, I don't care who it is, anyone saying that they are going to support candidates who will not support our right to choose and will not support, just period. Right. Healthcare is a personal choice. So it's a personal choice. And I know that there's some people who want to use the quote, abortion argument to say that's why we shouldn't have the ERA. That has nothing to do with it. Like I said in my speech on the floor, the ERA is about equality, period. Right. If you want to fight about something else, stand up and say, I want to fight about something else. But don't stand up and say, I'm fighting the ERA and put that in. No. Tell me you want to fight about something else, and I'll respect you. Because when you come at me with that argument, I have no respect for you.
Well, Pat, thank you so much. I know you got to get going, and we appreciate you being on the call for as long as you were. It was so much great information, and, you know, I hope that I know myself and anybody else that can share the information to help Pat get elected, I hope we can all do that for her.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Let me give you, my website is Spearman, 4, Congress.com. Spearman, 4, Congress.com.
Okay.
And if you can go there, we are right now in the midst of trying to raise $200,000 before the end of the month, because we've got to make sure that we get our message out. We were just able to raise enough money Monday to get our signs out.
Good.
So we're raising money, and we're spending it as fast as we're raising it, because we're not getting any of the boys' money. So I need men and women who believe in equality to get behind me in a big way. You know, $1,000, $100, $25, whatever they can send. The maximum personal contribution is $2,700. Whatever people can give. If 100 people give me $50, if 1,000 people give me $10, I mean, that's how it adds up. And I can also say, again, this is powered by people who believe in equality. And for those who don't believe in equality, we're coming after you.
All right.
Unapologetically, we're coming after you.
I love it.
And this time, you won't win. We will win. We will win this time. We will win.
Women are winning already in their primaries,
Yeah.
and that I sure hope it's true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank
And
you.
whatever else I can do, yeah, just let me know. There is an attorney who worked with us in Chicago, in Illinois, who testified the same day that I did, and she has offered her assistance if you need it. They have a law firm that has offices all over the country. They're pretty powerful. So, Carol, I can give her your number if you don't mind.
Yeah, please do. Absolutely.
Okay,
Especially
I will.
with the convention coming up, and maybe we'll see you in June in Tempe, Arizona. Just
Sure.
I'm sure you know. I think I spoke to you, and just so everybody else knows, we get to award an elected official through our national federation, and I put Pat's name in to be awarded for all that she's done for women. So, Pat, I'm waiting for an answer. As soon as I get it, I'll get in touch with you.
Okay. All right.
That's
Thank you
great.
for your confidence. Thank you. And everyone, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. We're going to do this.
And
Yeah,
thank
we're
you
gonna
for
do
your
it.
work.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Okay. So
Yes,
whoever writes the press releases, get one out for what happened last Tuesday with the women who are supporting the ERA, and get one ready for Nevada. We will control the narrative, and we'll let them know we're not playing.
All right. Stay in touch, Pat.
Okay, I will. Thank you all.
Thank you
for the
very
time.
much.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Wish you lots of energy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
Well, I'm so excited and happy that she was able to make it. And while we were talking, and Liz, you might have got the email. I know her. This is what I mean about campaigns. Her campaign person contacted me and Liz by email saying that she wasn't available, and I just wrote back and I said, okay, we got it covered. I wasn't even going to make them feel bad, letting them know that she was on the call.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that, Carol. Yes, you know, her name is Najee or something. Yes, I bet she's really crazy busy. You know, it's tough. It's
No, I've been there, done that, and I get it. But you know, it happens too often. It makes me crazy. But if I can just take a quick minute, I didn't want to do that when Pat was on the call. I wanted to let her speak, but I just want to go over a couple things real quick and then open this up for discussion, because between what Pat said and I just want to make sure everybody's clear about this. So first and foremost, and many of you may know this already, but what the Equal Rights Amendment says is, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. That's the basis of the Equal Rights Amendment. And back in 1972, Congress passed the ERA, but it needed 38 states to ratify it. And that's where we got hung up. We got 35, and we never got the other 3. And then all this time has passed, and there are bills in Congress right now that once we can get that third state, well, like Pat said, a state and a half, to ratify the state portion, then we can go back to Congress and they can fight to bring this bill forward. So we're so close. And I had mentioned Stacey Abrams because I hope everybody knows that Stacey won her primary on the Democratic side for governor of Georgia, and she would be the first black female to be elected. So, and I've met Stacey, and Stacey's awesome. So I think she has a good chance. And at this point, since she won the primary, the boys are done. So the boys can't stop her. There's one other thing I want to point out, because this comes up a lot, and then I'm going to stop and I'm going to let everybody, have a chance to discuss this. But a lot of times a question comes up about the 14th Amendment. So I pulled up some information. I know that the 14th Amendment does not protect us the way we need to be protected, but let me just read this to you real quick. It says the 14th Amendment does not protect women against sex discrimination. When the 14th Amendment passed in 1868, it was intended to give former slaves equal protection and voting rights under the law. That was its purpose. It was not meant to protect women. In fact, it specifically gave equality for male slaves. Female slaves were excluded, as were all women, regardless of race. So the 14th Amendment does not protect us. There was a statement made by the Supreme Court, this is going back a while, that the paramount destiny of mission of women are to fulfill the noble and benign offices of wife and mother. That makes me crazy, and we're still living in that world in so many parts of this country and by so many people. So just you can read about it. You can just go on and do what I did and search 14th Amendment and equal rights, and you can read the same thing I'm reading, and you'll see that we are not protected by the 14th Amendment. So people start saying that. No, we are not completely protected, and certainly pay equity is proof of that. So I'm going to stop there because I want to give everybody a chance to speak. So if anybody has comments, questions, concerns, please go ahead.
Hey, Carol, it's Deneen.
Yeah. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. I just wanted to thank you for having Patricia on. It was so invigorating, and she was so spot on in so many things, and it gave me a boost in a way to look at, yes, we really are on the cusp of this. We're right at the brink, and so I do think that now's the time to really buckle down and push it over the goal line, so to speak, so that we can. I mean, it really will. I think we have a hard time really grasping what magnitude of an impact it would have if when the ERA is ratified, because so many things that are difficult to challenge from a legal standpoint will no longer be as difficult, I think. So I just wanted to thank you for that. She was truly inspiring.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, we're happy to do it. Liz reached out to her last week, and then today I just picked up the phone and called her. I thought, the heck with this.
Oh, well, thank you, Liz. Yes, thank you.
Well, actually, it was funny because on Saturday night at the BPW State Conference's gala dinner, they had her in on Skype. And because she couldn't get there, she had promised to be there, but she couldn't because the flights, and she couldn't get back out again in time for a meeting the next morning. So she came in on Skype. But I took the opportunity to ask her on Skype, to let her know that we have our virtual club meeting dealing with the ERA tonight, and would she be able to do so? And she said even for a short time she would, so just to contact the office. So that's why I got the ball rolling. But as Carol said, they're really busy, but Carol clinched the deal today by making sure that she got her on. So that was good teamwork.
Total serendipity. Thank you, Liz. And what the quick thinking on your part. Yeah, that I came in late, so I didn't hear if you had if that was sort of described earlier. But thank you both. That was excellent. That was wonderful.
Yeah, that was pretty. This is Susan, and I'm going to agree. I'm going to concur with that. And I like what she said and what struck me. There's a couple things that struck me in what she said and presented. That was it notmovingbackward.com or something like that? And I'm like, oh, that's a good tagline. I want to remember that.
Yeah, and I think it's really powerful that we start to support the candidates. Find out, firstly, these candidates support ERA, and if they do, we need to make clear that we're funding them because they support ERA, because it covers all of our issues, pay equity, pro-choice. I mean, most of those rights will all be protected under the ERA. So I think that should be our new way forward in looking at what we stand for.
I would love that because, Liz, as you know, I mean, me being involved with the party, I mean, that's what we talk about as women. And I keep saying that no matter what party you're affiliated with, it doesn't matter to me as long as you support women. And that's really what it's got to be about. I get a lot of pushback even locally here in Arizona when I talk about it, but I'm not talking about abortion and I'm not talking about a party issue. I'm talking about women's rights, and that's what we need to stick to.
Exactly.
Oh, it's Deneen again. I just wanted to let everyone know that I did share that she was on the webinar with us and a link to that website that she referred to where you can get more information about her and donate and even sign up to volunteer if you're in the area or able. So that should be on both our Facebook and Twitter accounts.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome, Deneen.
That's super. Yes, that's really great. I love the way you can do that right then and then. I can't do two things at the same time.
I'm double text today. I'm in front of a desktop and on a phone at the same time. So
that's true. I'm multitasking.
Okay. Well, I've been muting because I've had the phone calls coming in, constantly for me. But I'm going to have to actually leave because I have another regional conference meeting coming up here in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to have to get ready for that. So I'll probably just, say goodbye and thank you all for doing what you do. It's just terrific, and we need to. I did put it in the last e-alert. I hope you all saw it.
Yep.
But, I managed to, Sue, I managed to connect with Carol, and you got it postponed because I did see that most people couldn't make last week. So
right.
Maybe it was good, nor me. And so I think it all really worked out. So that was great. So, but if you can let me have it, or let Michelle Guarino have it, then she can put it in the e-alert, in time for the members to be able to join. Because everywhere I go across the country, I have been speaking about the value that you all provide the Federation by opening up your webinars on these fabulous topics for the members to engage in. And I want to thank you all for doing that, and I want to thank you for your commitment to it. And I really want to see it supported more,
Yeah, we appreciate that, Liz, and I'm so glad you made the call because this was like awesome.
Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully there should have been more, but at least we're more than there was last week. So, I know it's just a crazy time. It's just before a long weekend, and it's just hard to get people to participate in all the things we'd like them to participate in. And
yeah,
those
absolutely.
who are really active, we certainly do understand that it is all consuming. So,
and since this is recorded, I mean, maybe we can put it out in the next e-news that even though people missed it, they can go to the recording.
Oh, that would be great. In actuality, I think I should talk with Michelle about having a little corner on the e-alerts every time about the webinars.
Okay.
So we could.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We could put a link about listen to the last or here's the news. You know. So
Right.
we should definitely commit to that. So I will do my best to get that done. And so Sue, if you send the link, that would be great. I'll make sure it gets in.
Sure,
That'll be
absolutely.
me.
Yeah, actually, Deneen does that more than I do, but yeah, we'll make sure one of us will do it.
All right,
Yeah, we'll get it covered.
Whoever's taking on the job, thanks. Just let me know, okay? Thanks, Deneen.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us and for the connection. It was wonderful.
You're very welcome.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to say bye and hop off here. I have to just run and get a bite to eat, a snack of some kind before I start this next meeting because I'm hungry. So,
all right.
All right. Good night,
Bye,
everybody,
Liz.
and thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, excellent.
Excellent.
Hey,
Hey, Carol, the only thing, you have a way to contact Pat. I just want to get the official thumbs up from her that it's okay to share
Post it.
once we get the recording.
Trust me, it's
I'm
okay.
Sure. I
Yeah.
know.
I know it's okay. That's a fact. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We don't even have to ask. She wants and needs all the help she can get.
Well, I'm glad to help.
Okay. Thank you. And so who's on the call besides you, me, Deneen, and Leona?
Well, it looks like we got Kathy just kind of jumping in here. Come on, Kathy, say what you need to say.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I came in just a little bit late. But one thing I wanted to share, though, is today, you know, as I was going through my emails, I had looked at the last EPW newsletter, and I saw a link to the press conference in Illinois, and I took the time to watch it. And I don't know if anybody did or not, but it was quite long, but it was very interesting. And there were two things that I don't know if it was the speaker who was at the press conference, but he said two things that really stuck with me. And I've been around this issue for a long time, but I'd never heard at least these two things. The first one that jumped out at me that he talked about was that we have a Second Amendment in the Constitution where we protect the right to bear arms and guns, but we don't have anything for women. And I thought that one was really interesting to here we are talking about, and we're protecting the right for guns, but, you know, we don't want women. So that I'd never heard that argument or that statement before. And the other thing is that he said that people were starting to bring up, and again, it's about mixing messages, you know, trying to tie abortion to the Equal Rights Amendment. And
yeah, Pat talked about that too, Kathy. Were you on to hear Pat?
Some of that.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But what this guy said was, I mean, if you're a constitutional person, you have to know that at the time that the Equal Rights was first introduced by Alice Paul, abortion wasn't even part of any conversation.
Right.
So there was never any intent. I mean, even if you were, even though that's an issue we've been dealing with since '73 when we got to the Supreme Court with Roe v. Wade, that was '73. ERA was first introduced, was it 28 or something?
Well, 1868 is when it all got started, I think.
1868.
Oh, no, that's the 14th Amendment. I'm getting my amendments all mixed up.
No, it was 1900, yeah. So,
well, it's forever.
Right. So, but anyhow, those were two critical things that jumped out at me. And the other thing is, I'll just kind of tie this together. I was at a lecture series at Case Western Reserve this afternoon on climate change. And one of the scientists said something that was very interesting because, of course, you know, there's the whole thing about people who are denying climate change. But what he said was, you know, the playbooks that people use to discredit. And as I was listening to him talk about the playbook that's being used to discredit science, it's the same playbook that they've used in the ERA. And the playbook is find people who will speak against it, you know, and confuse people, put them in doubt,
Yep.
And when you put doubt in people's minds, you're more likely for them to not believe something. And that's the playbook. And as I listened to him talking about that, I thought, oh God, that was, we've been living in that world a lot longer than you have. So it was just interesting that, and the language, the narrative, they also brought up, and it happens to us, the person who positions language and starts to actually cast the narrative,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and that's, I mean, again, I know I get myself in trouble here, but if you look at the Republican Party, they've done that very well, and that's why people are scared. That's why people think certain things that may or may not be true, more than likely not true, and, but if you can control the narrative and you have the right language, it's everything you just said. That's what people hear. People tend to like to hear negative more so than positive information.
Well, they react to it because our amygdala is wired to go into a very protective stance, and it's a threat, right? Anything that perceives a threat, our amygdala and our brain takes over, and we don't hear other things because we're in a protective mode. So anything to engage that, which is, why people do the fear and doubt, it's easy to really control them in a lot of ways.
We have a few minutes left. Does anyone else have any comments about the ERA? Anything?
Well, we have Leona. We also have Barb who joined us late.
Oh, hi, Barb.
Yeah, Barb, are you there?
She might be muted.
Yeah, she is. Or Leona?
I'm here.
There's Barb. Hey, Barb.
Hi.
So, Barb, you didn't hear very much of what happened then, right?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I had another meeting earlier, and it's just very tight for me.
Okay. Well, we had Pat Spearman on, who was very instrumental in having the ERA ratified in Nevada, so that was pretty amazing. And then we had Liz on for a while, and we just been talking about the ERA, but we're getting ready to close down, but I wanted to see if anyone had any more comments about anything that Pat said or the ERA.
This is Janine. I just want to piggyback on 3 quick points on what Kathy mentioned. One, I have seen posters in protests talking about that guns are protected in the Constitution, but women aren't.
You're
okay, hold on. We gotta get. Yeah, I was gonna say we got a little bit of an interruption. Leona just unmuted, and then you started echoing.
Yeah, I'm getting a little echo myself. Okay,
there you go. Okay, thank you, Leona.
Sorry. Yeah. So for just touching on what he mentioned about the ERA protecting Constitution protecting guns, but not women. I've seen protesters with signs that say, if my uterus shot bullets, maybe then it would be protected. So I thought that was a pretty snarky thing. 2, I think another ingredient in that quote-unquote playbook is fear. I think that's a common thing. It's usually a fear of something's going to be taken away or something's going to be threatened, or those people over there, the others, are going to take. So that's a common ingredient as well. And in her talking about controlling the narrative, I would love for us, and I don't know where we would start, but reframing the context and reframing the message is essential. For climate change, for example, the message is big oil and fossil fuel companies that are really driving all of this anti-climate change themes. They use something like, so too many regulations. The regulations bog down the regulations. But if you reframe that as their protection, and when you start speaking to people and saying they're trying to limit the protection, they're trying to take away the protection, we're talking about the exact same things, what these laws and
okay.
But protection, A, is more truthful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And B, it's reframing the message. So even if you're in your day-to-day discussions and people say, but the regulation, you don't reiterate, because even those who are on the opposite side tend to use that same language.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So
Well,
when you learn to reframe it, it can jilt people a little bit, where they're actually forced to kind of come out of that cognitive dissonance a bit,
yeah.
and hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you keep repeating, it's just gonna. That's why it grows.
You hear the term gun control,
Yes.
and I have been working on this for some time, and if you say gun safety, right there, that makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that Pat said, and this one I like, and I think it's a winner, gun sense.
Yeah.
Sense.
Yeah.
Non-threatening, right? Who doesn't want to have sense?
Right. Or safety.
So,
I mean, safety is more important to people than anything. Everybody wants to be safe. That's the reason for wanting a gun. But
yeah.
when you say control, immediately it's you want to get rid of.
You're taking something away. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So, and I just like to just add in, because we're kind of covering a lot of things, but they all come back to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You've all heard me say that with the shootings that are going on in the schools, and you look at the mass shootings, and you look at who's committing these crimes, and it's predominantly young white males or white males. And I get a lot of pushback every time I put that message out there. But, you know, that's a fact. Like it or not, that's what's happening. And, you know, right away it's like, so you think all males should be locked up. Nobody ever said that, and I try to clarify that. And it's the same thing with everything we're talking about. You know, we got to get a clear message out there for people to hear us. So
maybe
we got to just keep trying. And I think what Pat said, for those that weren't on the whole call, you know, she talked about, and Liz sounded like she was being supportive, and I know we are at the, you know, for the National Democratic Women, and that is, we have to support through money and through our message the women and men who support us. And that's how we're going to change things. So I know there's still a lot of primaries out there. You know, whatever you can do, wherever you are, wherever you live, even the people that you know around the country, try to get that message out. That's going to be key, is getting more. I mean, a lot of women are winning their primaries, which I'm really excited about. But we need more women who support women, not just women, but women who support women getting elected.
Agreed.
So thank you, everyone, for being on the call, and I wish there were more people, as usual, because I think it was a great one. And I think we're going to try to have a meeting in June, I believe, Sue, we talked about.
Yeah.
Of June, maybe. Well, we got the webinar. What date do we have set for the webinar? The 21st?
I believe, now what I'll do is I'll stop the recording here, since we're getting into business stuff, so let me do that. Okay.
I think I have the 21st pencil.